Hey there, I'm Amanda, and this is the Heart to Heart with Amanda Hilburn podcast. It's a podcast to gently encourage aspiring artists to be brave, confident, and original. Let's get started.
I asked a question on my Facebook page recently. If you and I could spend the whole day together in my studio, what questions would you ask, and what would you like for me to demonstrate or teach you how to do? The biggest question that most people were asking was, how do I take something that is real and paint it in an impressionistic way? And while this may sound simple, it's really pretty difficult to do. And especially for someone who is a perfectionist or who has been painting things with lots of detail in the past, being loose and playing with trying to paint things in a painterly way or an impressionistic way can be quite a challenge. So today I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do to try to begin painting in a more loose, abstract, impressionistic way. And hopefully this will help you to get started and push past the fear that you may have when you try to get messy with your paint. Okay, first of all, when you're looking at something, let's say you're looking at a still life, or maybe just one flower, we'll just say one flower. You need to look at the big picture. In other words, you need to see just the main basic shape of the entire thing. That's where you begin. Most of the time when I'm painting just one flower, for example, I would look at the basic shape of the entire flower and kind of take my brush and my paint and sketch it out, just the outline of the entire thing. Then you want to look at what colors are in the entire thing. So if you're looking at, let's say, a hydrangea, for example, maybe a green hydrangea with a little bit of pink, then you would mix up some colors or find the colors that you think would look best, as far as deep green and a mid-green and then a really light green. There may be some hints of pink in there. Get all those colors ready. Next, you layer those colors from dark to light. That's how I normally paint my flowers. So I would put in the deep colors first. Then I would, still looking at the real thing that you're wanting to paint, but just see the colors. Don't look at all of the little bitty details. Just look at the basic shape and the depth of color. So the darks, then the mediums, and then the lights. And keep in mind that you want to see the big picture and the color with a blurred view of detail. So you're not going to paint each individual petal. You're not going to paint every single stem or every little bitty leaf that may be a part of this flower. You're just going to put the impression of it, the idea of it, and using your color in the correct way and your light, medium, and dark colors will give you that three-dimensional look, will give you that impressionistic look without you having to try so hard to create all of those little details. So what you see when you're looking at something that is real with your painterly eyes is going to help you to put that on a canvas or paper. When you look at something that is real, what you should see is the basic shape the big picture, the basic shape of it, the colors, and then blur all the details. So in your mind, you could even squint your eyes to the point that you can't see the details. In my case, I could just take off my glasses and look at it because everything is blurry without my glasses anyway. But look at it with the idea that all of the details are completely blurred. You can't see all of the little bitty things that you would want to paint with a tiny paintbrush. If you're painting with a palette knife, it's almost impossible to get all of those little details anyway. So let go of the idea that you need to have every tiny little detail included in your painting and blur your details. I can't paint things in a realistic, hyper-realistic way. It really stresses me out. And so when someone first asked me, how do you do that? How can you let go and just paint it in such a messy way and it turn out, beautiful? It doesn't make sense to me. Then I think the opposite way. How can you spend so much time and put in all these tiny little details? Because my brain just cannot comprehend all of those little details anyway. And so I am an impatient painter, I have to say. I don't enjoy sitting down and being so tight with what I create and paint all of those tiny little details. So I just naturally paint in a messy way. And it's one of those things that I didn't really think about. I just did it. And now that people have asked me the question, how do you do that? Then it has helped me to step back and take a look at my own process and how I create based on basic shapes and colors and blurred details. Because number one, I am a self-taught artist. And in the beginning, a lot of times what would happen would be that I would begin painting something and I would get so frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to make all the little details work that I would just sort of paint it in my own way and figure out a way to make it look like it may have some details, but they're blurred details, like I said. So it kind of evolved from my lack of ability to create those details. And it turned out to be something that I really liked. So it may be that you just haven't allowed yourself to make mistakes, or you haven't allowed yourself to see what happens and experiment with different ideas that you have yourself. And it will cause frustration. Some major frustration if you're trying to paint something that is hyper realistic and really detailed, and you don't have, your brain and your hands don't work together. You don't have the training, or you may not have the ability, or you may not have the patience like me to create something that is really realistic like that. So you have to adapt and you have to change the way that you're doing things. And if you're afraid that you're going to do something wrong, then you're really going to have a hard time. So get rid of the idea that there is a right and a wrong, and that you have to paint something a certain way. If you're doing something that you enjoy and it's beautiful and exciting and something that gives you a sense of accomplishment, or just a sense of joy that you have this thing that you can create and that you love, then don't get so caught up in all of the little details, and allow yourself to be messy. Allow yourself to learn, try things, experiment, do it a different way. Even if you can't do it the way that I do it, maybe you can't see the big picture, or maybe you're having trouble with not putting in details. just do it the way that is best for you, and find ways that you can adapt and change and add and subtract, and that's how you begin to find your own style. When you begin taking things that you're learning from experimenting or just looking at how someone else does things and pulling maybe one little element from how they do it, or learning from different teachers and compiling all of that information together, that's how you begin to find your own style and the way that you are most comfortable painting. So if this painterly style is something that you're really interested in trying out, then that's what I would suggest that you do, is you get something, whether it's an apple or a flower or whatever it may be, even a picture of something if you need to do that, and look at the big picture. Just put in a rough sketch of the basic outline of the entire thing, then find your colors, mix those colors or pull those colors together, and then blur the details. Don't try to be very detailed with whatever it is that subject is that you're painting. And I would love to know and see how your experiments go. So if you're going to try and do something that is more painterly, then send me a picture of it. Come over to my Facebook page, and I'll leave a link here in the show notes where you can go over. And I did a Facebook Live talking about this same topic. If you would like to see what I'm talking about rather than just listen to what I'm talking about, then you can come over and watch that video also, and leave a comment and let me know how your painterly style adventures are going. So I hope this was helpful, and I can't wait to see what you make.